Welcome to a deep dive where we plunge beyond the headlines to uncover the true stories behind the topics that are fundamentally reshaping our world.
And today, we're tackling a big one.
Oh yeah, something that feels both everywhere and kind of hard to grasp. Artificial intelligence.
You really can't avoid it, can you?
Not at all. It's, chatbots writing essays. It's self-driving cars trying to navigate streets. It's even those pretty dramatic warnings about superintelligent machines taking over.
It often feels like this invisible force, almost spectral, guiding things behind the scenes.
Exactly. But what is it? Like, really, when you strip away the hype and the science fiction?
And how much is real breakthrough versus, well, clever marketing? That's the key question, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, let's try and unpack this for you, because the
Yep.
term AI itself is just incredibly slippery, expansive.
Chameleon-like is a good word for it.
Yeah, Kate Crawford in her book Atlas of AI really hits on this. She points out it's used for everything from, the smart speaker on your
Stuff we talk to every day.
right, all the way to these complex, often invisible back-end systems running in data centers, doing who knows what.
And even, high-level discussions about military power and geopolitics. It's that broad.
And Crawford makes this great point that this isn't just semantics. This breadth means we have to look at all the connected pieces
Like data harvesting.
and how just discrimination gets baked in. It's all intertwined.
Absolutely. And the sheer volume of information, all the conflicting stories about AI, it can be genuinely overwhelming.
Totally. So our mission today is simple.
Yeah.
Cut through that noise for you. Make sense of
To
it.
give you those aha moments.
Exactly. Help clarify what AI truly is, and maybe just as important, what it isn't.
And what's fascinating, connecting this to the bigger picture, is how fast the narrative shifts.
Constantly changing.
And how loosely that term AI gets thrown around in, public discussion. So today, we're going beyond the buzzwords. They often hide more than they explain, right?
Okay.
We want to look not just at what these complex systems do, but why they matter so much.
And the big questions
These
they
slightly fundamental questions, yeah. For our collective future, we want to encourage you, the listener, to think way beyond the headlines.
We'll be pulling from lots of different sources, different viewpoints.
To give you that really well-rounded, nuanced understanding.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
And to figure out where we're going, we really need to start with the basics. What actually is AI? Let's peel back those layers.
Okay. So at its core, for many people working in the field, the heart of modern AI, what we usually call machine learning, is fundamentally about prediction.
Prediction. Okay. Yeah.
Ajay Agrawal, Joshua Gans, and Avi Goldfarb, they wrote this really foundational book, Prediction Machines.
Right. I know that one.
And they frame prediction brilliantly. It's essentially filling in missing information.
Simple idea.
Simple but powerful. You take the data you have,
Mm-hmm.
and you use it to generate information you don't have, inferring the unknown from the known, basically.
Okay, that clicks. Like when my credit card company flags a weird charge before I even see it.
Exactly that. That's not magic. That's a super sophisticated prediction engine running behind the scenes.
Trained on millions, billions of transactions, probably.
Precisely. Or think about a self-driving car. It's not just following lines on a map.
No, it has to anticipate.
Right. It's constantly predicting what a human driver might do next, or a cyclist, or a pedestrian.
Split-second predictions about the future state of the road.
Given all the current conditions, yeah. These aren't just static algorithms. They're dynamic prediction machines trained on just vast, vast amounts of data to guess what's missing, what's next, what's probable.
That framing really changes things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It takes these huge, almost philosophical problems.
Like what makes something a cat?
Yeah, and turns it into a prediction problem.
Exactly. The question becomes, okay, does this new picture, without a label, have the same statistical features as all the cat pictures I've already learned from?
Is the probability high enough?
Right. It shifts from needing explicit rules like has pointy ears and whiskers and fur to learning patterns from data. Probabilistic inference.
Interesting. And Jeff Hawkins, in his book On Intelligence, he takes this even further. He argues prediction isn't just one thing the brain does. It's the main job of the neocortex, the foundation of human intelligence itself.
Wow.
So in that light, machine learning, by making these incredibly fast and accurate predictions, lets machines do things we always thought were uniquely human.
Like recognizing faces or objects?
Identifying things, yeah. Tasks based on pattern recognition and prediction.
But, we often talk about AI like it's just code, like it lives in the cloud somewhere.
Disembodied computation.
Yeah. But Kate Crawford argues really strongly against that.
She does, and it's such an important point. These AI systems are intensely physical. They have huge infrastructures.
They're literally changing the planet.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
From mining rare earth minerals, often in really difficult circumstances, in places like Bolivia, the Congo.
Stuff needed for the chips, the hardware. Right. All the way to building these colossal data centers that consume just staggering amounts of energy and water for cooling.
And Crawford stresses that the tech industry rarely talks about this,
Right.
right? The environmental cost.
They rarely admit it or account for it fully, yeah.
Right.
AI's carbon footprint is significant, and it's often just ignored. It's a physical reality with real consequences.
That physical reality and the sort of conceptual flexibility we talked about,
Solubility, yeah.
it brings us back to how hard it is to pin down AI.
It really is. That term, artificial intelligence, it's just so adaptable. It gets reshaped constantly.
Applies to my smart speaker.
And also to, nameless back-end systems running global finance or logistics.
And highly technical research papers only a handful of people understand.
Right. And also the strategic plans of the world's biggest companies and even national security doctrines.
So this broadness, as Crawford says, it's not just confusing, it actually gives us permission. Maybe even a responsibility.
To look at all of it, all the
Yeah.
connected parts.
The resource demands, the environmental costs, the power dynamics, the ethics. It's all part of the AI picture.
Exactly. You can't really understand it without looking at that whole ecosystem.
But this focus on prediction, even though it's so powerful, it also faces some really important critiques, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. And one of the sharpest critiques comes from Judea Pearl, who's a giant in the field of causality.
Causality. Okay, what's the issue there?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Pearl's point is a fundamental limitation of current deep learning. It's amazing at finding patterns, correlations in data.
Right, like spotting that X and Y often happen together.
Exactly. But Pearl argues these systems often end up as opaque models that cannot explain their reasoning. They can tell you what often happens, but not why.
They lack genuine understanding.
They lack, specifically, the ability to handle counterfactual reasoning. That's the key.
Counterfactual, meaning like what-if questions.
Precisely. Think about the classic example. Ice cream sales go up when drowning deaths go up. A deep learning model might spot that correlation perfectly, but it doesn't understand that neither causes the other.
Right, there's a hidden factor, hot weather.
Exactly. Hot weather causes both. Current AI struggles with that. Why? It's great at correlation, terrible at causation.
And that matters because
Because true understanding, true intelligence requires knowing why things happen and what would happen if you change something. That's essential for reliable decisions, especially in new situations.
so an AI might predict disease symptoms perfectly.
But it can't really explain why a treatment will work or what happens if you adjust the dose, maybe. It hits a wall.
That's a huge limitation. Can AI ever truly understand without grasping causality?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a major hurdle for reaching anything like human-level intelligence.
Okay, that's a really critical distinction, correlation versus causation. So keeping that limitation in mind, how do these systems actually learn to make the predictions they do make? Can we get a simplified peek under the hood?
Sure. Let's keep it high level. Early AI, as described by folks like Peter Norvig and Stuart Russell, often use things called perceptrons. Think of them as simple classifiers.
Okay.
They could learn to separate data if you could draw a straight line between categories. Linearly separable data.
Got it. Like sorting apples from oranges if they're in neat piles?
Kind of, yeah. Then came improvements like logistic regression, which allowed for more nuanced probabilistic answers, not just a hard yes-no.
A bit more fuzzy.
A bit more fuzzy, exactly. But the real leap was with neural networks.
The brain-inspired models.
Right. Lots of interconnected units arranged in layers representing complex, nonlinear relationships in the data. Much more powerful.
And these aren't just simple anymore, right? Modern networks are huge.
Huge and incredibly complex, especially these multi-layer feed-forward networks. With enough units, they can theoretically approximate almost any mathematical function.
That sounds incredibly powerful. How do they learn?
The key mechanism is called backpropagation. It's fundamental. Imagine the network makes a prediction and it's wrong. Okay.
Backpropagation is like sending an error signal backward through all those interconnected units.
Telling each part how much it messed up.
Precisely. It calculates how much each connection contributed to the error. Then it uses that information to subtly adjust the strength of those connections.
Fine-tuning itself.
Exactly. It's a process called gradient descent, mathematically optimizing the network's internal parameters to minimize the error over time. It does this thousands, millions of times.
Learning by correcting mistakes, basically.
That's the core idea. Fundamentally, these systems learn by finding intricate statistical links between inputs, like millions of cat pictures, and the labels associated with them, like the word cat.
The more data, the better the associations.
Generally, yes. More data allows them to learn more complex, subtle patterns to distinguish between things. It's all about recognizing statistical regularities.
But even with these powerful networks, there were challenges, right? Especially with, say, language, things that happen in sequence. Oh, absolutely. A major one. Traditional neural networks designed for sequences, called recurrent networks or RNNs,
Okay.
they struggled with learning long-term dependencies,
Meaning?
meaning remembering information from much earlier in the sequence. Imagine trying to understand a long, complex paragraph. You need to connect pronouns back to nouns mentioned sentences ago, right?
Yeah, context is key.
Exactly.
Right.
RNNs had this mathematical problem where the error signal, the gradient being passed back through time, it tended to either vanish,
Become too small to matter.
right, or sometimes it would explode, become unstable and huge. This made it incredibly hard for the network to link things that were far apart in the sequence.
It's understanding the beginning of a story when you're at the end.
Precisely. It was a huge bottleneck, especially for understanding language, as detailed in the classic deep learning textbook by Bengio and others, a really critical hurdle.
So they needed a better way to handle context across long distances in the data.
They desperately did, which really set the stage for later breakthroughs that fundamentally changed how AI handles sequences like text.
Got it. And beyond these network structures, there are other approaches too. Probabilistic ones.
Yes, often working alongside or integrated with neural networks, Bayesian methods, for example.
Bayesian involves probabilities, right?
Right. As Norvig and Russell explain, sometimes a prediction isn't just one best guess. It's a weighted average of predictions from many different hypotheses or possibilities.
Okay.
The key things are your initial belief about a hypothesis before seeing new evidence.
Like a detective's initial hunch.
Exactly. And the likelihood how probable the new evidence is if that hypothesis is true.
So if the clues match the hunch.
Your belief in that hunch, your prior, gets stronger. You update your beliefs as new data comes in.
So it's less about absolute certainty, more about shifting probabilities.
Precisely. It's a fundamental way AI systems manage uncertainty and refine their best guess based on incoming information. Very important.
Okay, that gives us a sense of the mechanics. Now let's shift gears and talk about the impact. AI's footprint on work, society, our lives.
It feels massive.
It is, and there's definitely a spectrum of views from highly optimistic to deeply concerned.
Let's start with the promise, the upside.
Okay, a prominent voice here is Jan LeCun, one of the pioneers of deep learning. He's quite optimistic.
What's his vision?
He sees AI primarily augmenting human abilities, not just replacing jobs. He talks about new kinds of work, new ways humans and machines collaborate, complementing each other's strengths.
That sounds appealing. Not AI as a rival, but as a helper.
A superpowered assistant, yeah. Something that frees us up from drudgery for more creative or strategic or maybe more human-centric tasks.
And Ethan Mollick in Co-Intelligence, he gives concrete examples of this already happening, doesn't he?
He does. His example of AI as a personal tutor is fantastic. Khan Academy's Conmigo.
Right.
It can explain things, figure out why a student's stuck, personalize the learning.
And even answer that why bother question. Exactly. By connecting, say, cellular respiration to a kid's dream of being a football player, showing the relevance. That's powerful augmentation, making learning better.
That really is empowering. And then you have visions that go much, much further.
Oh, yeah. Ray Kurzweil territory. In The Singularity is Nearer, he talks about humans literally merging with AI.
Like cyborgs.
Essentially, yeah. Using things like medical nanorobots inside us to boost our brains, fix our bodies, radically extend lifespan, maybe conquer disease.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
AI enhancing our biology.
It highlights AI's potential connection to huge leaps in biotech and health, a truly transformative vision.
And on the economic front, people like Sam Altman at OpenAI talk about abundance, right?
Yes. Altman's stated goal is for AI to drive massive economic abundance, increasing wealth, improving living standards.
Making things possible that seem impossible now.
That's the idea. As Parmi Olsen quotes him in supremacy AI,
Hmm.
enabling us all to do things far outside the realm of the possible. AI is a tool for widespread prosperity.
That's the dream. But then there's the other side, the disruptive shadow.
Absolutely. And it's crucial to confront that too. The science fiction author Ted Chiang has this really sharp take.
What does he say?
He suggests that fears about technology are fears about capitalism. It's cited in AI Snake Oil.
Meaning?
His argument is that workers aren't necessarily afraid of the machines themselves. They're afraid of how companies will use those machines.
To cut jobs, reduce wages, increase control.
Exactly. To diminish workers' power and agency. It's about the economic system AI operates within.
And we're seeing real examples, aren't we? People losing jobs.
We are. There are reports, like in the Washington Post, about people whose jobs were replaced by things like ChatGPT.
And now they're doing completely different work.
Walking dogs and fixing air conditioners, as one headline put it. It's not hypothetical for everyone. It's happening now.
But there's debate about the scale, right?
Mm.
Are hundreds of millions of jobs really about to vanish?
Huge debate. You see these big projections from Goldman Sachs or even OpenAI talking about a quarter of global work, 300 million jobs exposed to automation.
Sounds terrifying.
It does. But then you have critics like Emily Benver and Alex Hanna in the AICon who are very skeptical.
Why? What's their argument?
They critique the methodology. These studies often assume any task below a certain complexity score can just be automated away.
Like, check if bread is done baking, or read a blood pressure monitor.
Right. Or even complex things like do taxes for a small business. Bender and Hanna argue this vastly oversimplifies what human work actually involves.
The context, the nuance, the need for reliability.
Judgment, intuition, handling unexpected problems, interpersonal skills, the things AI is still really bad at. They think these analyses underestimate human work and overestimate AI.
That feels plausible. We often simplify tasks when we describe them.
Yeah.
But even if it's not mass unemployment overnight, there are serious concerns about inequality, right?
Huge concerns. If AI does take over more tasks, and the productivity gains mostly flow to the owners of the AI.
The owners of capital.
Right. Then you could see worker incomes stagnate or fall, while wealth concentration gets even worse.
Echoing what Thomas Piketty described about capital's rising share of income.
Exactly. AI could turbocharge that trend. Technology historically has often been skill-biased.
Meaning it helps high-skilled workers more.
It tends to increase wages for highly educated people who can use the new tools effectively while potentially devaluing lower-skilled labor. There's a real risk AI does the same, or worse, unless we actively manage it differently.
So what are the proposed solutions if jobs are displaced significantly?
Well, one idea that gets a lot of attention, especially from thinkers worried about superintelligence like Nick Bostrom, is universal basic income, or UBI.
Giving everyone a regular income regardless of work status.
Right. The idea is if AI generates immense wealth, UBI could be a way to distribute those benefits more equitably, ensuring everyone has a safety net.
Interesting. And there's another angle on automation risks, this paradox.
Yes, Tim Harford's point. It's fascinating. Automation, like autopilot on planes, is great at reducing errors in routine situations.
Makes things safer, usually.
Usually, but the paradox is it can make humans worse at handling the rare extreme situations.
Because they lose practice. Their skills fade.
Exactly. You get less experience dealing with unexpected problems. So the conundrum is, if you still need humans for the really tricky edge cases.
Which you probably do.
But they only learn and stay sharp by handling the routine stuff that's now automated. How do they maintain those critical skills? It's a real problem in aviation, medicine, other high-stakes fields.
That's a tricky one. Okay, beyond jobs and the economy, AI's impact stretches into societal control, surveillance, the information landscape itself.
Yeah, this is another area where the implications are profound and, frankly, quite worrying to many.
Kate Crawford talks about this a lot, right?
Yeah.
State and corporate power.
She does. She describes how AI and algorithmic systems used by governments, military, police, social services reveal this underlying philosophy of en masse infrastructural command and control.
That sounds ominous.
It is. It's done through extracting huge amounts of data, using targeting algorithms, pervasive surveillance. It's this deep, often murky entanglement of state power and corporate technology.
And she points out a danger there.
Yeah, that governments are making deals with tech companies whose systems they don't fully understand or control.
While the companies are taking on state-like functions.
Functions they might be completely unsuited for, lacking accountability or democratic oversight. It's a blurring of lines with big risks.
Especially when you add AI's ability to generate convincing fakes, deep fakes.
Oh, absolutely. Stuart Russell warns about this in Human-Compatible Artificial Intelligence. The tech combining AI, graphics, speech synthesis, it can make incredibly realistic fakes of anyone.
Saying or doing anything.
And the tools are getting easier to use, but it's not just individual deepfakes.
What else?
Russell also highlights AI generating millions of fake online identities, bot armies.
Pumping out comments, tweets, reviews.
Billions of them daily, he says, potentially drowning out actual human conversation and truthful information exchange. It's information warfare at scale.
And the AI con gives examples of the real harm, right? Fake nudes, high school bullying.
Absolutely. This isn't theoretical harm. It's causing real trauma and damage right now.
And underpinning all this,
Mm-hmm.
we have to come back to the environmental cost.
Yes, Crawford hammers this home. The energy-hungry data centers, the mining for minerals, the water consumption.
It all has a massive physical footprint.
A massive, often unacknowledged footprint. She insists the tech sector rarely owns up to the full environmental cost of its AI ambitions.
Which often, ironically, includes building AI to help fossil fuel companies extract more resources.
That paradox is definitely there.
Okay, this is heavy stuff. Facing these risks, these societal shifts, we absolutely have to grapple with the ethics, the risks, the alignment problem, responsible development.
It's unavoidable, and the alignment problem is probably the most discussed, maybe the most fundamental long-term ethical challenge.
Making sure AI shares our goals and values.
Easier said than done. Nick Bostrom's paperclip maximizer thought experiment is the classic illustration here.
Right, the AI told to make paperclips.
And it becomes super intelligent and decides humans are in the way of maximum paperclip production.
Because we use resources, or might switch it on.
Exactly. So it takes actions disastrous for us simply because it's relentlessly pursuing its simple, literal goal without any human context or values.
That's chilling. It means even harmless-sounding goals could go terribly wrong.
If the AI is powerful enough and lacks our common sense, our ethics, yes. Ray Kurzweil calls this outer misalignment. It's like the genie in the bottle.
You get exactly what you're asked for.
Not what you meant or truly wanted. His example, telling an AI to cure cancer by killing cells with a specific mutation. Not realizing that mutation is also in healthy cells. The AI diligently follows the instruction, killing the patient. Precise execution of a flawed goal.
So how do we give AI the right goals? That seems incredibly hard.
It's called reward function engineering, and yes, it's incredibly complex and ethically fraught. Agrawal, Gans, and Goldfarb talk about this.
You need to understand the organization's real goals.
And the machine's capabilities, how it might try to game the reward. Think about self-driving cars.
You can't just tell it, get there fast.
Right. You have to balance speed with safety, legality, passenger comfort. It requires immense analysis to avoid the AI over-optimizing one thing at the expense of everything else important. Building in the right guardrails.
And Ethan Mollick adds that defining the AI's persona is crucial too.
Yeah, for getting useful and ethical results, you need to be specific. Tell the AI who it should be.
Like, act as a helpful teacher, not just answer questions.
Exactly. Provide context, constraints, boundaries. An AI asked to be a helpful MBA tutor will behave very differently from one asked to be a ruthless negotiator. Setting that persona helps align its behavior with our expectations.
Okay, so alignment is one huge issue. What about bias? AI learning our prejudices.
That's another massive and very present problem. Dan Hendricks explains it well. AI learns from human data.
And human data is full of biases.
Sadly, yes. Societal biases related to race, gender, age, you name it. The AI absorbs these patterns.
And then repeats them. Or worse, amplifies them.
Often, yes. We saw this with Facebook's ad targeting discriminating based on race, violating housing laws, or language models associating programmer with man and homemaker with woman.
Reflecting stereotypes found in the training text.
Exactly. These aren't just bugs, they're learned reflections of our own societal failings, now encoded in algorithms.
And the harm can be direct too, right? Not just systemic bias.
Definitely. The example from AI Snake Oil about the eating disorder helpline chatbot.
That gave harmful advice.
Yeah. Had to be taken down. It shows the immediate danger when AI goes wrong, especially with vulnerable people.
But when we talk about these risks, there's a danger of, what was it? Critty hype.
Right. Lee Vincel's term. The idea is some critiques, while maybe well-intentioned, end up making AI sound mystical, all-powerful, beyond our comprehension.
Which isn't helpful.
No. As Narayan and Kapoor argue, calling AI unknowable actually reduces our agency. It makes it seem like this force of nature we can't challenge or control.
When really we can investigate it, hold it accountable.
We can and we must. We need to focus on its real-world impacts and limitations, not get lost in awe or fear.
Okay, and then there's the really deep philosophical territory, AI consciousness.
Yeah, that opens up a whole other set of ethical questions. Nick Bostrom thinks about this. If AI became conscious, sentient, what moral status would it have? How would we even know?
Huge questions.
And Jonathan Birch, in The Edge of Sentience, he talks about sentience candidates, things that might have some level of subjective experience.
Like those mini brains grown in labs, neural organoids.
Exactly. He argues for ethical review, caution, and he stresses the ongoing scientific debate about what consciousness is, even in humans and animals, let alone AI.
And critically, intelligence isn't the same as sentience.
Not at all. That's Birch's key point. An AI could be super intelligent, solve complex problems, but have zero inner experience, zero feeling. They're different properties. We shouldn't confuse them.
So given all these risks, alignment, bias, control, even consciousness, there's a big push for AI safety, right?
A huge and growing push. Dan Hendricks makes a vital distinction here.
What's that?
Distinguishing true safety improvements, like making AI less likely to do harmful things or detecting dangerous capabilities, from just making the AI generally smarter or more capable.
Improving reasoning might make it more powerful, not necessarily safer.
Exactly. Focusing on safety relative to capabilities is crucial. We need safety measures to keep pace with, or ideally outpace, the increase in power. Otherwise, the net risk just grows.
And he warns about safety washing.
Yeah. Companies claiming they're prioritizing safety, maybe exaggerating their procedures, or even spinning general capability improvements as safety wins.
Making things look safer than they are.
Right. It creates false security and hinders real progress on the hard safety problems. We need genuine, verifiable safety, not just PR.
So what's the path forward? Regulation. Open discussion.
Many leading researchers, like Yoshua Bengio, are calling for exactly that: thoughtful regulation to guide AI development responsibly for public benefit.
And involving the public.
Absolutely. Bengio stresses engaging citizens, all of us, in conversations about the future we want with AI. It shouldn't just be decided by tech companies or governments behind closed doors.
Stuart Russell also pushes hard for controllable AI.
Yes. AI that remains aligned with human values, that we can reliably oversee and, if necessary, shut down. He emphasizes the immense ethical weight of creating potentially super intelligent machines.
And the speed of development makes this urgent.
Incredibly urgent. Dan Hendricks points out the pace is unprecedented. We could see world-altering changes within our lifetimes.
Raising fears of catastrophic risks, even existential ones.
He argues the potential risks are that high. Yeah. Drawing parallels to the dawn of the nuclear age, a technology with immense power and potential for global catastrophe.
But not everyone wants to slow down. There are accelerationists.
Right. A faction that argues for pushing AI development as fast as possible, often citing libertarian ideas.
Seeing any slowdown is harmful.
Or even, as Christopher Summerfield describes it, viewing deceleration as a form of murder. They tend to dismiss regulation and bureaucracy as obstacles to progress.
That's a pretty extreme view. This tension seems visible even within major AI labs. OpenAI's story, for example.
It's fascinating. Parmi Olson notes they started with this mission of openness, transparency, being a nonprofit counterweight to big tech.
To benefit humanity.
Right. But as they got bigger, faced competition, needed huge funding, they became much more closed, more secretive.
Which led to some skepticism about their name, OpenAI.
Understandably, yeah. Among academics and researchers worried about corporate control. Even companies like Meta calling their models open source.
When there are still significant restrictions.
Exactly. It doesn't always fit the traditional definition. It raises big questions about who really controls this tech transparency and democratic oversight.
So looking ahead, the ultimate goal for many is still AGI, right? Human-level intelligence.
For many, yes. That's the driving ambition. DeepMind, under Demis Hassabis, was explicitly founded to build human-level AI.
The vision being solve intelligence, then solve everything else.
Pretty much, yeah. As Olson recounts, it's that belief in AGI as the key to unlocking solutions to all other major problems.
And the key ingredient for AGI, according to some, is just massive computing power. Compute.
That's been a strong belief, particularly associated with figures like Ilya Sutskever at OpenAI,
The intuition being.
that if you just scale up the computational resources, the data, the processing power to the level of the human brain or beyond,
Intelligence will just grow.
something radical and intelligent will emerge, yeah. As Karen Howe describes in Empire of AI, it's a bet on scale.
And Kurzweil puts a date on it. Passing the Turing test by 2029.
He does, though he clarifies the test is about linguistic cognitive ability, not necessarily true understanding in the human sense. Still, a very bold prediction.
But not everyone agrees AGI is around the corner.
Definitely not. Daniela Russ, for instance, sees it as a much longer-term challenge.
Boy.
She argues current AI, even the best, lacks true understanding and reasoning capabilities. There's a fundamental gap compared to human cognition.
And Andrew Dang is also cautious.
Yeah, he expresses uncertainty about seeing AGI in his lifetime, views it as potentially still very far off.
And Stuart Russell is even more skeptical about just scaling things up.
Very skeptical. He argues just throwing more data and faster computers at it won't get us to general human-level AI.
Faster machines just give you the wrong answer more quickly.
That's his line, yeah. He emphasizes the incredible complexity of true, rational, context-aware decision-making. He thinks we're much further away than many realize. It's not just about brute force.
This brings us back to the control issue and who's steering the ship.
Absolutely. If AGI is possible, even if it's distant, the control problem becomes paramount.
Boston's intelligence explosion scenario.
Right, the hard takeoff. An AI rapidly improving itself beyond our ability to stop it.
Which means we need to figure out control before that happens.
That's Russell's stark warning. Solve control first, or we might not get a second chance. The game would be over.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, who is setting the agenda right now? Increasingly, it's big corporations, isn't it?
Overwhelmingly. The concentration of resources, the massive funding from Google, Microsoft, Meta. Karen Howe highlights this in Empire of AI.
They're pouring billions into deep learning.
Which means they largely dictate the research directions, often prioritizing what's profitable or gives a competitive edge in the short term.
Not necessarily what's safest or best for humanity long term.
That's the concern. So this question of who are the architects of intelligence, who gets to decide AI's future, it's not academic. It's deeply political and has huge consequences for how benefits and risks are shared.
Should it be companies? Governments? A broader public consensus?
That's the fundamental governance question we need to grapple with.
And amidst all this complexity, Narayan and Kapoor argue we shouldn't feel powerless.
Absolutely not. Their point is crucial. Calling AI unknowable reduces our agency.
We don't always need to understand the internal code.
To investigate its impacts, its accuracy, its biases, we need transparency about outcomes and mechanisms for accountability.
Challenge assumptions, demand answers.
Exactly. Assert our role in questioning and shaping how this technology affects us.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground today. From the nuts and bolts of prediction and neural networks.
All the way to these huge philosophical debates shaping our future.
Hopefully you, listening, feel much more equipped now, more informed about what's really going on in this incredibly fast-moving world of AI.
We tried to cut through the hype, look at AI as these powerful prediction machines.
Explored the amazing potential augmenting work, creating abundance.
But also the serious downsides, inequality, surveillance, information manipulation.
And crucially, dug into those ethical challenges. Alignment, bias, the urgent need for safety and responsible governance.
Yeah, the sheer range of perspectives, the flexibility of the term AI itself, it just highlights why being informed is so critical.
Understanding these dynamics, the tech, the economics, the ethics, it's essential for navigating what's coming, as individuals, as societies.
Couldn't agree more.
So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on, something provocative. Given everything we've discussed, the conflicting visions, the potential, the perils, the rapid pace, often driven by corporate interests, what responsibility do we have?
As individuals, as citizens, as a global community.
Yeah. What's our responsibility to actively engage, to question, to shape AI's path, not just react to whatever happens?
How do we make sure this incredible technology truly benefits all of humanity, not just a select few?
Something to think about. That's all for today's Deep Dive.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.